Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh. Yeah, late penalty is not allowed. We've got a clip on that. You can refer to that, inshallah. As for this here, 50% upfront, 50% deferred payment. You have to look at the type of transaction. I don't think there's any issue with this. I think this falls under al-istisna'. But if it's bayt as-salam, then payment must be paid up in front. And this is from the ahkam of bayt as-salam. And I don't think this is bayt as-salam, but this is just to highlight the importance of the difference between bayt as-salam and a way of benefit as well. Bayt as-salam is when a person hasn't got the item yet. They haven't got the item yet. That's because the item does not exist yet. And the person sells him a product based on the description. And typically at the time, the Messenger of Allah used to be harvest, right? So the person will come to the farmer and say, okay, this year's crops, I want 10 kilos of ajwa and 10 kilos of sukkari and 10 kilos of safawi, whatever, just as an example. And I want it in this particular description. I want them to be on this particular size, and I want it to be X, Y, and Z. On the day of harvest, I'll come and I'll pick up my goods. Here is payment in full. This is from the ahkam and the conditions of bayt as-salam. Bayt as-salam has different ahkam conditions. We don't really want to get into that right now. And these are things which are studied, as part of, studies in fiqh, and it's not the right platform for a person to do it over a voice note or a message. They have to sit down and make sure that there's interaction with talib and teacher, and that they're making notes, etc. Because this is something which is ilm, and this is something which is important. But this is just for us to understand, yeah? From the ahkam, bayt as-salam is that the payment must be done up in full. So then he gives the farmer the payment, whatever it is, whatever they've agreed. I don't know the price of 10 kilos, but let's just say £100 for all 30 kilos. Here's the £100. On the day of harvest, which will probably be the 1st of July or whatever it might be, I'll come and I'll take my goods. If it is not as described, I will have my money back. This is known as bayt as-salam. Al-istisna' is offshoot, a branch of bayt as-salam. But it's not exactly the same as bayt as-salam. And this has been affirmed by the majority, except some of the Hanafis and others from the ulama said, no, istisna' is not allowed because this is selling what he doesn't have yet. But what seems to be the correct view is that istisna' is allowed. And qiyas with bayt as-salam. Al-istisna' is where a person says, I can make for you something. The thing, again, doesn't exist yet. I can make for you something. And if I'm going to make this thing for you, this is the price. You go into the shop. You order a pizza. Does the pizza exist yet? Pizza does not exist yet. Is this person selling something which he doesn't possess? The Messenger of Allah in the hadith of Nu'man, la tabi' ma laysa indak. You are not allowed to sell something unless you take possession of it. If I've got a car and I'm selling my car, or selling a car, shall I say, if I'm selling a car, I'm not allowed to start advertising until I've taken possession of it. This is well known from the ahkam of buyu and trade. You have to have the thing in your possession in order for you then to start advertising and having trade negotiations, etc. Okay? Right. But the person is selling a pizza, he's got it on his menu, and the pizza doesn't exist yet. Is he allowed to do that? The answer is yes. This is known as al-istisna'. The same thing when it goes to carpentry, the same thing when it comes to anything where a person needs to produce something. And what he does is he sells you the product based on the description. So I will make you a pizza which is 12-inch and it's got cheese and tomato and chicken and sweet corn on it. Are you happy with that? I am happy with that. This is known as, now you can see how it's similar to bayt as-salam. Except that when it comes to istisna', you are allowed to split the payments up. When it comes to bayt as-salam, you are not allowed to split the payments up. And the hikmah for this is that the Messenger of Allah has made it strict when it comes to bayt as-salam, but when it comes to istisna', I mean, it's different. There is more lenience, and this is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it easy for us. And there is a difference, as you can see here, from both of these, because when the person is doing istisna', he is making something. As for bayt as-salam, he is not necessarily making something. He's waiting for the crops to come up. So there are differences between Bayt al-Salam and istisna. And one of those differences, as the ulama have said, when it comes to istisna, he can take part payments. That's the first thing that I can see in this contract. So if it's istisna, that is fine. But the first thing that we can see at the top of this page here, the person says he will pay 50% up front, and when the job is done, when the, I'm guessing this is a web designer, when the when the website has been completed, he will get the remaining 50%. That is fine, because this now takes the ruling of istisna. He is going away and making something and producing something. Cancellation fees. This is an issue with the ulama. And the ulama have said you are not, and this is the view of the majority from the four madhabs, you are not allowed to charge a cancellation fee, because this is taking the wealth of your brother without any haqq. Aqth al-iwad and al-iqal, or aqth al-iwad and al-fasq. The majority of the ulama said this is not allowed. Some of the ulama have even been strict on this to say, okay, if you've got an agreement to sell something with someone, yeah, say for example the person is not able to pay you, so you want to cancel the contract, you want to cancel the agreement. I sell you my car for £1,000. The agreement is I give you 500 now and I give you 500 in 6 months' time. 6 months comes, I've given you 500, it's time for me to give you the other 500, I can't afford it. This now can be iqala, and this now can be fasq. You can say, okay, give me my car back and here's your 500 back, and we call it quits. I can't wait around for you now. I need my money. I'm going to sell it to someone else. The Hanabila have said if a person is not able to pay, this is well known from their madhab, if a person is not able to pay, then it is wajib for you to help this person. It is wajib for you to help this person. And then there is kalam on whether a person is muflis or not muflis in their madhab. This again requires further detail, and we won't go into that right now. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَنَذِرَةٌ إِلَى مَيْسَرَةٍ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands if a person is not able to pay, then they must wait and help the brother. The majority of the ulama have said, no, you don't have to. This is grounds for you to make fasq, so you can cancel the contract. So cancellation is fine, especially if the person has not fulfilled his terms of the agreement. But can you take a fee for cancellation? And again, this is the view of the majority. Fees for cancellation can only be taken if that fee is realistic. Otherwise, is أخذ المال بالباطل. لا تأكلوا بينكم لا تأكلوا أموالكم بينكم بالباطل. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran. So if a person says, if you do not go ahead with the contract, I am going to take from you 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%. What's that based on? If it's based on something which is legitimate, as in it's costing you to employ people, and then there are admin fees, and then there's fees for your resources, and you're printing out stuff, and then there's ink, and then there's all this other stuff, then that's fine, because that person has to bear the responsibility of the cost, because it is from, the fault has come from him. However, if the person has set 20%, 30%, 40%, that is not allowed unless if that fee is realistic. That cancellation fee is realistic. There was late penalty fees. I'm recording on the phone itself, so I can't remember if there were any other issues in the contract. I think there were a couple of other things, but I mean, if we can just fulfill this, then inshallah, that would be sufficient, inshallah. But I mean, from what I can see here, I mean, it seems okay and it seems legitimate. It's just the cancellation fee for me is an issue. I didn't see any mentioning of late penalty fees. That would also be an issue if it is there. Let me see if I can bring it up.